Hey there, we're back for another wonderful, wonderful episode today. And this is a very interesting topic. I have Dr. Andrea Deerheart here. Before I tell you about her, let me just welcome you to this amazing platform.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here. Very grateful. I look forward to sharing.
I met Andrea Deerheart in January at a yoga retreat, and I listened to her. I was so inspired by her work. Let me tell you a little bit about her and why she's here. Dr. Andrea Deerheart is the passionate founder of the HeartWay, a nonprofit organization dedicated to embracing life by honoring death. We haven't done this on this platform yet. Honoring death. Let's keep going. She is the author of Yoga Nidra, Graceful Transitions, Elli's Ride, Death Beyond Imagination, Principles of the End-of-Life Care, and Clinical Skills for the End-of-Life Practitioners, using wisdom gathered from decades of guiding the living and dying physically, spiritually, and psychologically. Dr. Deerheart has provided loving care, education, counseling, and ministry dedicated to co-creating a visionary map with the dying and their families. All right, everybody take a breath, because you might be going, what? Isn't this podcast supposed to be about love? And yes. And after meeting Deerheart and experiencing her knowledge around what's possible in the beauty of death and dying, and a tool called Yoga Nidra to support you, whether you're in that journey of death and dying with the beloved or just in your journey, I knew that this was important. This was an important topic, especially for our stage of life, because I know my mom is getting up there. She's having her struggles, and I'm already feeling the what's coming, and seeing friends that are very sick and dying. And so I just thought it was important to have you to bring your message here. So thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for being here.
My honor completely.
So I actually would love to start with like the first huge question I have, which is, how did you end up in this lane when it comes to supporting people in this huge topic that most people don't want to talk about, most people want to avoid, most people are terrified about: death and dying?
It's exactly how I got started, as a child terrorized of death. I grew up in a family that was laced with a lot of physical violence, emotional violence, and death was kept outside the home in all ways whatsoever. So I figured, well, if I can't see death and my parents aren't letting me be around it, it must be this horrific thing in life, and I was going to avoid it at all cost. So I spent my childhood in a lot of anxiety, fearful about death, and I avoided life in any way I could. I was afraid of life and afraid of death, because you can't unlink life and death. Our dualistic minds do that all the time, but there's no true way of avoiding it. So I grew up into this huge anxiety, and it really got in the way of enjoing life. And then in my mid-20s, after a career in marketing with large corporations, I was in the East Coast and came back to California, where I'm from, and I was going to get my MBA, and I was going to show those managers that you can get your numbers with the heart as well, with leading with the heart. And it didn't have to be this unethical, difficult challenge. Well, I got sidetracked. I had a friend on the board of directors of a hospice in San Diego, California, and I decided to take the plunge and face my fears. Partly I was brave, but mostly naive. And I started volunteering for a hospice, and my first patient died in my arms. And with her went many of my fears. And that's where it all started. In this moment, I can still feel in my bones this experience. And with her came a reality of what this existence means, how it's inspired, and that death wasn't at all what I thought it would be. Yes, there was difficulty, there was some pain, there was some discomfort, there was grief, there was every conundrum of emotion that we experience as a human being. And then there was something else that I couldn't describe, something that led me to a place of feeling complete, feeling whole, developing new meaning for what this life meant. And that was the beginning of the journey that brings me forth to you here 35 years later.
Wow. 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 Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that many wows on this. um, without going too into detail, because I really want to hear all that you have to share. I was with my grandmother for the last 6 days of her life. And I wanted to be I was in the other room. If she was sleeping, I was sleeping. And I told her caretaker, I was like, if she wakes up, you wake me up. And it was the most profound, beautiful, crazy to use that word. And I want to use that word, beautiful, tender, heart-opening, loving experience I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
And still to this day, it's like, wow. And most people are living with this fear of this unknown. And most people are not going to be in hospice until they are, you know. So what might you offer to this woman who's thinking, well, yeah, it sounds wonderful on so many levels, but I'm terrified to lose my parent or lose my beloved, or I'm still really, really scared of it. Like, where might they start on this journey? And you mentioned a map. I don't know if that's where we can tie in your map. I'm not sure.
Oh, sure, absolutely. First of all, I want to acknowledge that there is beauty in death, and then there's a whole bunch of other things. I'm not one to connect with a good death, bad death. I don't think that exists. Death is death, and it is a convergence of all the experiences we have in this human life. There is absolutely beauty in it. There's absolutely sadness in it. There's absolutely anger in it. There's absolutely difficulties in it. Absolutely exhausting. But there's something in it that brings us to our true nature. You know, and from a yogic perspective, suffering, we create suffering in our life because we've lost the connection and the relationship to our true nature. We have forgotten our true nature, that which is spirit. And for those that aren't spiritual, I'm not meaning spirituality, woo-woo. What I'm meaning is our true nature being that is a greater consciousness beyond the ego consciousness. You know, we all have had those intuitive moments. We all have had some of those deja vus. We've all had different connection to loved ones that have died, whether through vision, through auditory, through heart center, through memory. Those are all just connected to energies that we are and energies that exist. So if in our life we're not honoring our death, we're not embracing our life either. They're not mutually exclusive. Death is an event, life is a process, dying is a process. And we're living until our last breath. Sometimes family members will bring me in to support a loved one that's dying, feeling they're in fear or they need some support. And I'll come in the door and get the introduction, and they'll go, I don't want to talk about death. And I'll go, wonderful, I don't either. And then I usually get a dirty look. They say, yeah, you're that death lady. And I say, no, I really want to talk about how you want to live until it's your time to die.
Oh, wow. Again, it's going to be a lot of wows. You said honoring our death while we're alive. Talk more about what that means to you.
Honoring our death while we're alive is living our life as if we know that it will end. Death actually inspires life. If you knew you weren't going to die, how would your life change? We always ask the question, what, knowing you will die, if you had a day, a month, a year, what would your life be like? But knowing you wouldn't die, what would inspire you to fulfill your dharma, to fulfill that which you're here to live? It's one of the ways death inspires our life.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, very, very much. So if we're realizing this life has an end, something changes in the way we live each moment. Ask you a question, you listeners as well. How do you feel after you come out of a funeral, a memorial celebration, heard of a loved one that has died, been by someone's side that has died? Is your life the same after that moment? The answer is no. Something shifts and changes in you. You come to a conscious realization, oh, my life is going to end too. How do I want to live it? Earlier this morning, I was talking with a gentleman whose wife died a year ago of cystic fibrosis. And I'm having the privilege of officiating the honoring ceremony in the sequoias. And the beauty of this celebration of life is this woman lived every day knowing that the next may not be there for her. And she lived so fully. She filled all her dreams. And the family rallied around that love and that courage and inspired every single one of them. It inspired her life, knowing the next day may be her last. And she lived it with all of gusto. After all, what is our goal on our deathbed? To say, I lived well.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know, there's a song, Republic, something One Republic does, and it's something about life. I can't remember what it is, but I lived. It's called I Lived. And it's talking, with every broken bone, with every this, with every that, I lived. And it's one of my favorite songs, even though I couldn't remember the name of it. And as we're talking, I'm actually kind of connecting some dots for myself on a deeper level. I've had so much loss in my life. My dad at a young age, my first boyfriend at a young age, a beloved, a few very close beloveds recently. So death has been a part of my life, and loss has been a huge influence in my life. And I think about how I've lived. And the name of my first live streamed show was Life Out Loud with Junie Moon. And now it's Love Out Loud. And when I think about myself, it really is that. It is, life is precious and to be lived. And I have had that confronting of it's not always here. And it's like a good meal, taste it all. And the meal may not last that long. We don't know when it's gonna get spoiled, yeah.
I want to blend that, if I might, because life is love. At the end of life, what's important is love, how we loved, how we love, how we feel love, how we share love, as is every moment in life. We work on ourselves to deepen and grow and expand and become more consciousness, so we can love more.
Yeah.
So open our heart more. And death opens our hearts more to our capacity to love in this human experience.
Yeah, so beautifully said. And as I'm in this conversation with the tears in my eyes, I'm just like, whose idea was this to have this on? And yet I am so in my deep bliss of having this real important conversation as I wipe my eyes, for those of you that are just listening.
Thank you for my honor. the honor. It's an honor.
Oh, this is precious, precious work, precious work. And as I told you when I saw you at the ashram, I do believe that will be my work at some point is being a death doula. Whenever I do my shadow work and my processes with people that have loved and lost, it is truly an honor and such a blessing. And there's something so powerful and beautiful. And I just love creating space for people to be dancing in the grief with all its flavors. So, okay. Life is love and love is life and death is here and we can honor it. And it helps us set the tone of taking it and going with it as fully as we can. And I know that Yoga Nidra is a tool that you've offered to people that are dying to help them ease their fear, as well as other people along the way. And here we are with women that might be, well, I don't know about this death thing, but going online is freaking me out. And I'm scared to open up my heart again. And my nervous system is blah, and I'm menopausal and I can't sleep. The list goes on. So I would love for you to share about this powerful tool that I know you use and love.
Yeah, beautifully. Happy to. Yoga Nidra, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is really an ancient practice, but it's really a deep relaxation. It has many amazing benefits. I'm just going to highlight a few that I think may be supportive. Yoga Nidra, intention and purpose is trifold in my humble opinion. Number one, creating a deep relaxation for the mind, body, and spirit, that greater than sleep, for example, 3 times greater than sleep. An hour of Yoga Nidra practice is equivalent to 3 hours of sleep as far as the physiological responses. So it's a deep rest and relaxation. So that's number one. Hello out there. How many of us need more rest? So number one, that's one of its exquisite benefits. 2, from a yogic perspective, it helps to move the flow of energy through the body through prana, which is our life force, is another word in a yogic philosophy of the energy that moves through our body, and through the channels, and they're called nadis from a yogic perspective. And these are channels of energy. You might be saying, wow, this is sounding familiar to Chinese medicine and Qi and acupuncture. You're spot on. All the systems are coming to the same place through different language, but it's arriving in the same place. I want to segue to a cute story that I tell from The Wizard of Oz. That was one of my favorite childhood stories. Do you all remember the scene where Dorothy the Scarecrow and the lion come out of the dark and shadowy forest, and they come across a beautiful field of poppies, and in front of the poppies is this emerald city, the Oz, the land of Oz. And they're ready and they link arms and we're off to see the wizard, and they start dancing, and the wicked witch comes and sprinkles poison on the poppy, and they collapse in the poppy field. They wake up eventually, and you know how the story goes. But what you don't see is underneath the poppies, they were following the yellow brick road, right? There's a gazillion yellow brick roads, all leading to Oz, all leading to home, all leading to our heart. It matters not what yellow brick road you take. You may even hop and skip roads along your journey in life to take you home. So Yoga Nidra is another yellow brick road to bring you home. Just as meditation is, just like journaling is, just like sharing your heart with people. Those are all tools, all yellow brick roads that lead you back home to your true nature so you can be all that you can be in this life. So Yoga Nidra is one of those tools. But in this practice, you move through these energy fields and try to unblock blockages. When you have a block in an energy field, you experience pain on some level. Physical, emotional, or spiritual pain. Yoga Nidra helps move that energy through, helps you digest it, to allow that energy to flow. When the energy flows through your system, through your body, through your mind, through your heart, you're living your greatest life you can in your full potential. So that's the second function of Yoga Nidra. And the third one has to do with intention and mastering the world you want to live in. Now, I know your focus in your podcast often is about love and creating love in your life, whether that's finding that right exact partner, mate, your relationships, etc. Well, Yoga Nidra is a tool to help you visualize and create the life you wish to master. The state of Yoga Nidra is a physiological state as well, where we create neuroplasticity, where we set our vision and intention. You all believe in some form of positive thinking, I'm going to guess. You've seen how that works in your life. You've seen what it's like to be around an environment that's very negative and dark and how it brings you down. We know positive thinking works. Yoga Nidra is positive thinking on steroids. So the state of consciousness from a brain chemistry standpoint is a state where we create in our life. You can create that which you wish. Those are the functions of it. So Yoga Nidra is a powerful tool. It's accessible to everybody. You just lie there.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because people hear yoga and they're like, exercise. I mean, yoga has so many aspects to it. And yet in our culture, it's, stretching and exercise, so this is so different.
Yoga is a philosophy of living life to its highest potential.
Yes.
That's yoga. Part of yoga is asana and movement. Part of yoga is philosophy. Part of yoga is diet and nutrition in the way you live and the way you love. It's the guide for life and living it to your fullest potential, whatever that might be. So this is an aspect of it, but you're lying still. It's accessible to everybody. I use this practice with my end-of-life clients to help them through their fear, to help them with pain, and help them with anxiety. You talked about the nervous system. I'll just weave that in. There's many physical health benefits, but it calms the central nervous system. And when the central nervous system is calm, the body, mind, and soul function more clearly. The immune system is more robust, and you react and act and move and live and love in life closer to that true nature. And when you're in that true nature zone, if you will, you're in peace and bliss. There's nothing you're fighting for or with. You just are.
I was going to say, you just are. You just are. And I can see how when somebody's about to go on a date, or to maybe be intimate for the first time, or to be with a beloved that might be passing, to use this tool to not only prepare energetically, but to be more present. Would you say that's true?
That is true. And I offering a practice that you're going to be sharing, a YouTube practice of Yoga Nidra, where I do a little deeper introduction of it, and we have a practice. So you're welcome to that. I offer a live online free community course for community practice too, that somebody can join once a month and get some more connection and community with it as well too. So please, I welcome you all.
Yes, we'll totally put those links in the show notes. I have one more question about manifesting love. I know when I was experiencing Yoga Nidra with you back in January, and I'm not sure I'm going to say it right, Sankopa?
Close, Sankopa.
Sankopa. Tell us about Sankopa. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, perfect.
Sankopa, and how that might help this woman bring more love into their life, with or without a partner.
So Sankalpa is a form of setting intention. And as I mentioned a couple minutes earlier about Yoga Nidra and the state of consciousness in the practice, and we set an intention, a Sankalpa, on how and what and wish we wish to manifest in your life. So if you're wanting to manifest that partner for yourself, you visualize who this person is, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You create that visualization of that human being, whatever gender, whatever persona. You create that for yourself, and you visualize it during the practice. And there's a point in the practice where it says, now in the state of deep relaxed consciousness, the state of Yoga Nidra, create the ideal vision and picture of yourself. And you create that vision of what that being is. Little inside secret that I encourage you to do, and this is how I manifested the love of my life, is I sat down and I wrote out all the aspects of this being that I wish to partner in life. The emotional, the spiritual, even the physical, all the aspects. I wrote it down, and he showed up a month later.
I'm so glad you brought that in. And he's so lovely. And the two of you together, I remember seeing you both walk into the room, and there was, I don't know, a pink puffy cloud surrounding you. Seriously, though, that's such a magical story. That not even, well, it's a story, but you know, your experience, how beautiful, how beautiful. Where did you meet? I'm curious.
Facebook
Dating, or Facebook just in general?
Just Facebook. I actually had studied Ayurveda with him
Right.
15 years earlier. I just had taken a weekend introduction to Ayurveda. I've practiced Ayurvedic lifestyle over 30 years in my life.
Yeah.
8 years ago, 7 years ago, he came up on the feed, Dr. Mark Halperin. Dr. Halperin. So I went to his wall and I realized I had taken a course from him. And I was also looking for the teacher of Yoga Nidra at that time. And he's one of the world-renowned specialists and experts in classical Yoga Nidra. And that's what I was really interested in. And when I had the experience for the first time, I knew it was perfect to support my clients in their journey through their fear and anxiety and pain at the end of life, to support a graceful transition for them. That was my intention and goal. And I sent him a friend request, and then he personally messaged me, and the rest is a long story way beyond the podcast.
Well, I love that story for so many reasons. And the biggest one is the manifestation, the being in the being of the journey and calling it in, you know, receiving it. And that also, I can't help but say that you can meet people on Facebook. You can meet people anywhere if you just stay open and clear, and Sankopa. Great. Yes.
Perfect.
And I think every day, you know, I certainly do that when my feet hit the ground every day. It's like intention, you know, I literally say every day, I'm here again. How's my life going to be like today? I got another ticket to the life show, and how my day be. And I may not be as exuberant as I'm saying right now, as I'm appearing right now, because I'm a little sluggish in the morning. However, it's so powerful when we have that intention. Any other words that you want to share before we close this beautiful time together?
Yes. You know, life is hard. We have challenges and difficulties, and there's all kinds of beautiful teachings and support out there in the world. And I think what I wish to leave you all with, and for us as well, is to remind yourself you're exactly where you're meant to be. There's no place but where you are, and your struggles are there to support and nurture your depth and growth. There's no place to strive for or to be except for where you are, and to honor and love yourself. Some of you may be listening, but I want you to cup your hands together and making like a little bowl. And in it, I've just placed the most precious, sweet little baby bird. And this baby bird is you. And I want you to love and nurture your baby bird. You're going to have to feed it with a little dropper here and there. You're going to need a little blanket on it. You're going to need to sing to it and love it, and then bring it into your heart center. And may you always treat yourself like a baby bird, to be loved and nurtured and honored. Every element, every aspect of your life is the alchemy of you to be embraced and nurtured. And may love be your healing light and guide. My deepest gratitude for the privilege of being here.
Oh,
Love you all.
thank you. Thank you so much for your time. That's our episode for today. I have no words other than much love to you all. Mwah.
One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower, because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.